Here we go again. Well, I think this is episode 10. So, it's been, hasn't it? I don't know how everyone else has been. Well, if there is anyone else out there, I'd imagine when no one ever listens, and I'm just talking to no one, and that maybe, like, in a million years' time, the sound waves have travelled through the universe, and there's some lonely amoeba sitting on a planet somewhere, listening in, going, interesting, I must find this book. But I don't think, if I spend my life thinking that no one listens, then that'd be fine. Because I've got 6 subscribers, but I don't even think they listen. And that's fine. Because it doesn't matter. Because I'm just going to sit here and rant for my own mental health. Not that I have any mental health. We all know it's shot. It's going to be an interesting week. Interesting next 2 weeks. I've got a holiday with the family, which is going to be tough. Always is. And then I've got 2 lots of psychoanalysis to deal with. And then there's all the other fun things that go with everything. So, yeah. Spent a lot of time having to rebuild children's Lego because they've broken it and we can't remember how it goes together. And how do we make it work? And Daddy, I need this put on that. I need this and that. So we built a lot of Lego the last couple of days. That's why there's been no podcasts. I've been a lot of doing. There's been a lot of doing. Just recently, well, about an hour and a half ago, I ironed 20 shirts, school shirts. 5 of them were my work shirts. T-shirts, tea towels. I don't know why I iron tea towels, but I'm told I need to iron tea towels. I don't understand that. But hey-ho. They do shrink, and then when you iron them, they magically get bigger, which I always find quite pleasing. But that's another thing. So I even went to the loft to find the Mills and Boon book I keep talking about, and tragically, it is no longer there. I think it was in a box that I got rid of. I had a box of stuff from my youth. A lot of stuff, a lot of letters and randomness. It all got thrown away before anyone else could read it. Because I don't really want my past. Full stop. I don't really want me, to be honest. I'm not a big fan of me. I don't like me. Anyway. Right. This is not about me. This is about rubbish books. So, we've been reading this book. We are far from... I've folded a page, but we're not at page 151. We've not even made it in... We've not even made it anywhere, have we, in this book? It's so awful. Hospital car park, we've done that bit. But it was a regular occurrence. My nurse had got him into a habit of cracking a joke without raising a smile. No, we've seen that one. No, we've read that. Read that one. There's a momentary buzzing noise from the machine above Trevor. Oh, there we go. Momentary. He's had his X-ray. Jane lied, didn't she? I can hardly remember. This book is not memorable, is it? He suggested, must understand it, and cleverly suggested. So Jane has suddenly become cunning and devious overnight. I started writing up some further notes on Trevor's paperwork without looking up to say goodbye as Trevor and Jane got up and left the room. There we go. During the time they'd been in hospital, the sun had gone down. Well, that's normally what happens. That's the habit with the sun. Unless you're in... If someone could confirm if they're in an area where the sun stays up for a very long time. It'd be awful if this was based in somewhere like the Nordics, where they have 6 months of light. So they've been in there for 6 months and finally the sun is going down. Don't let your sun go down on me. Yeah, right. Well, there you are. That's all you checked out in no time at all. I hope you appreciate the speed at which I managed to get you to see the doctor, Jane commented. And so walked back to the car. Now let's get you home so you can rest that pretty head of yours. Oh, so patronising. Trevor latched onto the fact that this was the second time Jane had used the term pretty of him, but concluded that she was just being a little sarcastic. I think not. No, I wouldn't say it was sarcastic, pretty little head of yours. That's patronising, not sarcastic. I know. On the way home, though, Trevor reflected on the hospital visit, in particular the way Jane had fraudulently got him in front of a virtually non-existent queue of patients. He thought about the strange change in the way that Jane was now extremely confidently drove the car. And, oh yes, the torrent of verbal abuse that she had given the driver of the larger car earlier on. This was all rather confusing to him, and he wondered whether some of this had actually happened, or was he still in a state of shock from a knock on his head, which was possibly affecting his comprehension of events that were going on around him. Yes, I would say it was affecting his comprehension. Yeah, he still had a numbing headache, and found that serious thoughts oh shit, oh no. He found that serious thoughts had exacerbated this. Oh, sod it. So he decided to just empty his mind of all thoughts as Jane drove them home, and opted to have a gentle doze in the car. That's quite dangerous, because he was really knocked out, and he'd fallen asleep, then he could go into a coma. We all know this. Back at the house, Jane opened the front door and allowed Trevor to go in first. I think I'll go straight to bed to see if I can get rid of this headache, he said, as they walked along the hallway. Jane nodded and smiled in agreement with him. I'll just get some paracetamols from the kitchen and bring them up to you, she said. He's made his way to the bedroom, where he pulled the curtains, got undressed, and climbed into the double bed. He covered himself with a duvet and pulled the top off of it close to his neck to snuggle down for a good night's sleep. Oh, so it's just like he's snuggled in under his duvet, hasn't he? He's just like, I'm going to pull it up on my neck. Did people do that? Is that like, surely you'd fall into bed and just be like, yeah, I'll just pull the duvet. And, yeah, really. So that was me snoring, not me just being a pig. So, yeah. When he thought to himself, a drink with Dave and Pete is definitely not on the cards for tonight. No shit, Sherlock. And concluded that a good night's sleep was the only real option open to him. It's funny, he thought to himself, how one little slip could have such an impact on an evening. He half expected Jane to either come to bed with him straight away or watch the television downstairs for a little while before coming to bed. He felt a little smug with himself, but at least he'd got out of watching the horror film that Jane wanted to see. Well, at least for tonight. Perhaps in a couple of months she could rent a DVD of it and scare the wits out of herself, by herself. Yeah, this is an old book, isn't it? It's DVD. I'm surprised he didn't say VHS, to be honest. Or even a Laserdisc. Oh, it would be amazing if it was a Laserdisc. Maybe it'll come out on Laserdisc later on. No, can you still... I know that only recently they stopped making it. Was it about 5 years ago they stopped making Laserdiscs? Or was it a bit before then? A bit before then, I think. Isn't there, like the Star Wars Laserdisc, like some massively expensive collector's item now? Does anyone actually have a Laserdisc player anymore? I like the Laserdiscs. And I remember seeing The Great Dictator, Charlie Chaplin, on a Laserdisc. But I can't remember. Yeah. Now I've remembered that, I'm going to ask the person who actually I watched it with. See if it was true, but I did watch that. I remember we're quite into Frankie Howerd as well. Frankie Howerd, now there's a genius if I ever met one. This book is just awful. A few minutes later, Jane came into the bedroom, turned on the light and came over to Trevor with a glass of water and a couple of tablets. "I've left some paracetamols and a glass of water here. Are you sure you're okay?" she said as she placed the glass and tablets on the bedside cabinet next to him. "Yes, I'm fine," he replied without moving. "Okay," she said. "I'm just going to nip down the pub for a Swifty." "What?" said Trevor in disbelief as he pulled the duvet away from his head and looked at her. "Oh, so she's now a raving alcoholic." "Well, there's nothing I can do here, love," she calmly said. "You've got your painkillers, and if you get any real problems, you know you can always call me on my mobile. Now you have a nice sleep and get rid of that nasty headache." Trevor was completely confused. He couldn't believe what Jane had just said. Was this all part of some dream, or was he was having, or a wicked joke she was playing on him? She leant down and gave him a peck on the cheek. "You'll be all right. I won't be long. I'll see you a little later," she said as she walked out of the bedroom, turning the light off as she went. Trevor wanted to discuss what was going on, what she was doing further, but completely lost for words. He heard her go downstairs, open the front door and close it with a loud bang. He felt in a state of shock. The main question in his mind was, what had happened to her? She never went to the pub in the evenings unless he managed to coax her along with him. But then he thought this must be a wind-up. But hang on, Jane has been acting in a very peculiar fashion. Perhaps, for some reason, she had flipped. Gone mental. Totally mental. You know what I mean? Got totally flipped. Yeah, she flipped her lid, hasn't she? She flipped her lid. She's gone completely off the rails. She's down the pub having a quick half. Shocking. He sat up in bed in the dark, his mind in turmoil. Then he gently laid his head back down, staring at the darkened bedroom ceiling. He took a deep breath and gently exhaled it. He then quietly and slowly said to himself, "What the bloody hell is going on?" Another single small twinge in his head signalled that it was time for him to gently close his eyes and fall to sleep. He completely forgot to take the painkillers. Well, there we go. I feel like we're going to stop reading this book. It's just painful. We're only on page 50. There's another 150 pages to go. And it's just, yeah. A few hours later, he awoke by a movement in the bedroom. As he felt the duvet being lifted up on the other side of the bed, he realised that it was Jane, who he presumed had just returned from the pub. She snuggled up to him and smelt a strong waft of a distasteful cocktail of curry and alcohol. "Trevor, are you awake?" she quietly asked him in a slurred voice. I was saying, "Trevor, are you awake?" I can't do a slurred voice. "I am now," he replied in a sarcastic but sleepy voice, wondering why she would wake him. "Does Trevor's thermometer want to take Patricia the pussy's temperature tonight?" she quietly asked in a drunken voice, with sexy overtones. I think I'm going to throw up in my mouth. This is just... Seriously? Did I just read that? I feel like I need to go upstairs and shave and just, clean my mouth out. I can't believe my eyes have read it before I could speak it. But does Trevor's thermometer want to take Patricia the pussy's temperature tonight? Patricia the pussy's? Oh my God. It's just not right, is it? She quietly asked in a drunken voice, with sexy overtones. I can't even imagine that in a kind of... How sexy... No. How can you have sexy overtones with that sentence? Really? How? Does Trevor's thermometer want to take Patricia the pussy's temperature tonight? No. No, not tonight, he replied quietly. I've still got a headache. One has got a headache, you know. Well, that's nothing new, she said rather grumpily, as she turned away from him, pulled a duvet up to her neck and immediately started breathing heavily as she fell to sleep in a matter of few seconds. Trev was tired and still had a numbing pain in his head, so he himself just fell back to sleep. Probably the best, because, yeah. Literally, just, I don't know. I just can't tell you. I feel like the whole thing's just, I'm trying to, it's just, I don't know. I kind of feel this book had never been read, even before I'd started reading it. It's just a bit, I don't even know, I kind of want to read the last page. I'm going to read the last page and find out if he survives. Sunny's thoughts were interrupted by a rather sinister and more alarming one. Oh, right. Yeah. I'm sorry. Oh, I've just gone quiet and I'm just oh my god. So literally I'll jump to the end and the word Todger was used. I'm sorry, that's what made me laugh because it's all got a bit, it's like an old man writing porn. It's just wrong. No, I can't. I'll tell you what. Let's just yeah. Let's just literally, I just feel like we need to read something else. I can't. That book, I'm going to give up. What we need to do is, by the next episode, I'll just find some ebooks to read. Because I just can't bring myself it is such a bad, awful book. I don't know. I can't read it anymore. Disc jockey is used. Oh, no, he's talking about old 70s bands. Well, early 80s. Books Fizz. Early 80s? Books Fizz was early 80s. Oh, it's just awful. And I can't highly recommend this book enough. So if you would like to get this book, it's called Who's Wearing the Trousers? Available from Amazon I've seen it at various prices. I would heartily recommend it. If you want to find out what happens next or to finish it after me, I would just buy it. Just buy it to find out more. Because I can't tell you how painful it is to read. And you've just got to. Well, you can borrow my copy. If you want to borrow my copy, just leave a message, and I'll try and lend it to you. But I'm not going to read any more of it. I did have the sayings of Confucius in case I just needed to have some cleanse the palate, so to speak. The master said, "I may talk all day to Hoi without his putting in a word of criticism or dissent, just as though he were deficient in understanding. But after he has left me, I find on examining his private conduct that he knows for all that how to exemplify my teaching. No, Hoi is not deficient in understanding." Well, there we go. That's good news. I don't know who Confucius is, really. It was some geezer. Can true love be anything but exacting? How can our sense of duty allow us to abstain from admonition? Even Confucius uses words I can't pronounce. It's just not on, is it? I just why Why do I have a reading age of like a 9-year-old? Drives me up the wall. I just don't know. I'm just rambling again. I'm just rambling. I'm sitting here. I'm looking at all the books on my shelf, thinking, there's so many to read. There's so many I shouldn't read. But I'll find some books to read, and we'll go from there. But yes, anyway, that's the last I'm ever going to read of that book. We need to move on to something else, something just as terrible. I feel like I should read some of the best bits. I don't know. What do you want me to read next? Just send me a message and see if no one's out there anyway. So no one listens. So you don't need to send me a message because obviously there's no one out there to send me a message. So I don't know why I'm asking. But I've got the Supernatural Omnibus, Legends of Britain, all written in Old English. So we could try some Old English. Maybe that'll help. Got a book on Proverbs. Love a book on Proverbs. And quotations. I love a quotation as well. Very useful. Yeah, quite good because I love a quotation book because you can then make it sound like you're radically well read. That was also a very good book. How to be radically well read. Without reading a book. And I can't remember. It's a book my brother had when I was a kid. Must find that. There's a few books I'm missing. I need to find them. I should do a couple of children's books as well. Because everyone loves a children's book. And there are some really awful children's books out there. But I don't know why. I'm lost, really. I really am lost. I just don't know. I feel like constant impending doom. Constant loss of something. I don't know. I'm a bit gutted about my Mills and Boon book because it was signed. A load of friends signed it. It was from when I was 17, so it was a lot of years old now. And it was signed by all the people I was with. Now, the reason I always mention this book is because it was quite unusual for a 17-year-old to be reading these trashy novels. And secondly, I was at a Christian conference reading it. And it was probably not what you would class proper literature to be read at that time. So yeah. So that was the irony of it all. And then loads of people signed it. Like a yearbook. It was all quite funny. And I've lost it. I bet I've binned it. Probably binned it. I've lost a lot of things over the years. Mainly my marbles. But anyway, right. Well, it's 23 minutes of just general rambling. Probably, if people are listening to this, you're probably in a car somewhere. Oh, just so you know, we didn't do bourbon biscuits or biscuits today. We did egg custards. The traditional British egg custard, not the Portuguese style egg custard. But I had a egg custard. Talking about cleansing my palate. Because it was Sunday. Just fancied one. So I'm just about to go and eat another one. So I'll go and finish my egg custards and then I'm going to bed early morning. Boxercise tomorrow. Yay. Anyway. Still got to walk. Still have to do walking. Anyway, have a nice day now. And I will speak to you anon.